and cast iron, September 21st, 2014, the last full day of summer 2014, and we're in beautiful downtown Coopersville at the Coopersville's one-room schoolhouse. We got one of our favorite singers in the background, Mr. Larry Ebert, who's entertaining the folks who are gathering here. The dedication ceremony was supposed to take place about 6 minutes ago, but I'm sure they'll have it shortly as we're doing this. They're still getting set up on a blustery, overcast day, and more folks are arriving all the time here on this Bayshard Road in Coopersville. This is a dedication. I'm not quite sure who they're going to be dedicating or what they're going to be dedicating, but we're going to find out. We've been here several times, and we're always impressed with the job they have done and continue to do, preserving the history of this schoolhouse. And their aim is to preserve the history of all the local schoolhouses. So they're inviting people today to come in with photos of one-room schoolhouses from throughout the town of Champlain that they'd like to scan and put in their archives here and probably put on display. They're giving tours of the schoolhouse right now, and a whole lot of people are taking advantage of that. So we're going to try to find out what's going to happen and when and where it's going to happen, and bring that to you. September 21st, 2014 in Coopersville. All right, we've made our way inside, and it's starting to drizzle outside. But behind Dr. Paulette over here, there's a little curtain, and underneath that curtain is a dedication inside the one-room schoolhouse. And a lot of folks have wandered in here in tight quarters. Behind Suzanne Moore is a tree line, and the other side of that tree line is the train, the railroad tracks that head north and south, and those are the tracks that go under the overpass here in Coopersville. So you're very close to the tracks here, and you get a lot of train whistles several times a day. It's nice to hear the railroad still operating, and people and goods going north-south on the former D&H track. I brought it for her. I don't Again, this is Suzanne Shan Moore.
Silence, please.
She's the school teacher.
Good evening, everyone. No gum chewing. No talking. No passing. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here.
Quilters in there, you understand how they are. They're very loud people.
They're going to have to stay up. Quiet. Thank you. Thank you. So forgive me for having no voice. There were too many tasks for this teacher this morning. Back in 1795 is when Governor George Clinton decided that it could be some kind of normal school throughout the state. A common school, he called it. And shortly after, the state legislature appropriated about $50,000 to be shared by all the counties in the state to set up these schools. And each county would have to provide 50% to add to that amount. By 1819, there were 6,000 schools in New York State. Nearly 250,000 kids were attending. By 1871, there were 11,372 school districts in the state. That included 22,217 teachers. And you can imagine that they were very much like this little one-room school, with all the classes in the same room for the most part, the teacher having to work with all the different age groups, and kids would stay warm around the wood stove in the winter. The kids who were sat closest to it roasted, and the kids furthest away were cold. And one student would be paid a little bit to come early to get the stove going. Those kinds of stories you can hear, even though Ed Bayshard and Ken Lord, who's not here yet, but he will be shortly, they don't go quite that far back, but they can remember what it was like because they were students here when the school closed in 1931. In Kling County, in 1878, there were 16 school districts, let me back up, there were 16 school districts just in the town of Champlain, including this one, which was school district number 9, and we do not know if this schoolhouse dates back to then. It could date back to then or even further, but we do know that it was in the same spot on Mason Road, down past the church on the left, on the river side of the road. You can see a tree in the middle of a field with a scar on it. That's where the schoolhouse was. In the town of Champlain, there were 29 teachers for those 16 schools. There were 1,205 students. This is back in 1878. So 2,005 students, and throughout the town, in total, ages 5 to 21, there were 1,802 kids. So there were about 600 kids who were not going to school then. There were 29 teachers, 8 men and 29 women, or 21 women, which tells you that women were smarter.
Of course.
Yes. So we know some details about District 9, thanks to Charles Hancock, who lived here. He actually lived in that little brick house across the field, and he kept a journal from the 1880s into the early 1900s. So we can tell you, and there's an exhibit over here that you can take a look at. We know that there was a Miss Ladd who was a teacher in 1880. She got sick, had to give up the job. We know there was a Mr. Rawson who would talk here because they tried to get him to fill in, but he couldn't. So instead it was a Miss Barber from Scioto. And just like today, if you go to school, they'll say Miss Jones, Mrs. Barber. The teachers don't have first names. So we do have a few. There was a last day of school picnic at Point of Fair in August 1882. Alice Kinsley was elected as school superintendent in 1890. The school commissioner in 1903 was a Mr. Johnson, but he died as a result of a fire. And then teachers that more recently were Ida Bertrand, Lillian Fozier, Nellie Parks Wood. The school closed in 1931, and it sat there for a while. And then it was sold, and it was taken down to the lake shore and became a camp, which was when I think these 2 rooms were added in the back. And for several years, Celine Paquette, who owned the property and owned the schoolhouse, was saying that she wanted the schoolhouse to be off her property. She had a use for the property, and it would be wonderful if somebody would step up and bring the schoolhouse home. And she was very patient for several years as very slowly the wheels turned. And finally, Ed and Bev Bayshard stepped up and financed bringing this building home. You can see pictures over there of our trek from the Lakeshore Road all the way here and onto Bayshard Road. We're not in the same spot, but we're back in Coopersville. And Ed worked very, very hard to bring this room back to what it was when he was a child. And this is part of our history. We know there are other schoolhouses still in existence in the town of Champlain. I think on the Stetson Road, Mary and Tony Lapierre live in a house that was a schoolhouse, and we know there's a schoolhouse at Honeymore's Corners, and there had been a stone schoolhouse on 9B, almost at the Leggett Road, which that one is completely gone now. There are very few that are saved as schoolhouses, and so we are very, very grateful to Celine and Ed and Bev for making sure this one got saved. So I've said enough. This is a little marker to express our appreciation. We are very grateful to Sue Minnie, who did the embroidery on this quilt and then did the machine stitching, the machine quilting for it. So we also need to mention the school board, I guess we could be the school board, the schoolhouse committee, which I am a member of. Kathy Hosier, Gogo Ashline, Jan McCormick is very involved, he's around here somewhere. My husband Brian, who am I leaving out?
Joe?
No,
Joe Bailey.
no,
Yes, he's on the committee. Brenda Jolliker, and he's looking more help, either on the committee or as volunteers, just see any one of us. And sorry, Celine.
No, you have to add something when you're finished.
Oh, okay. Yes, and I wanted to ask if Eddie and Bev and Celine would like to say a few words.
Well, we appreciate everybody coming today to this dedication, and we really appreciate what the committee, especially Jan, she's done a great lot of work, and she keeps us in tow, and everything works out just fine, just right. I thank all the committee for their wonderful work too. That's it.
Yeah, I'd like to, thank the committee and thank everyone for making this possible. I just thought I'd say a few words about how many times this building has moved. It started out on Mason Road, as was told to you by Shan, about 1940-41. My husband was then, like teenagers were back then, the war had not started, he was in Europe. And he was in the Civil Air Patrol, and he was on top of, behind the Breedenburg Ski Factory, and there's a hill there. And he came home that night, and he says, our camp is being moved. And his dad said, how do you know that? He says, I saw it going. So it was going from Mason Road to Lakeshore Road. So the lot was placed on Lakeshore Road. There was another camp there eventually, and so two camps on the small lot. Eventually that did not work. So Phil and Elizabeth Bayshard bought a lot south of the Paquette lot and moved this again. So it was moved from one lot at Lakeshore to Phil and Elizabeth Bayshard. And they added a porch that was the length of this building at the windows, and they added the master bedroom, I think, and a bathroom and a kitchen and that sort of thing. So there it stood, and then Dr. Starr owned it. And when Dr. Starr sold the property, which is just south of my lot, I purchased it. And people urged me to make it into a cottage or to fix it up and rent it out. And I wasn't so inclined. But Bev and Ed came over and looked at it, and Ed said, that is indeed where I went to school. The teacher was there, the chalkboard was there, etc. So the rest is history. Here it is. So this is its fourth move. This thing has traveled more than a lot of people. So, thank you.
And we need to thank everybody who helped make this possible today. Barry there was giving us some great music, and then it started to rain, so he needed to pack up early. And Kevin Triller brought his animals who are out back, and Jan McCormick's going to do games with the kids. Lots of people helped with the bake sale. There's a list in there, so I'm not mentioning everybody, but go look at the list. And Calvin has been so so good to record all our schoolhouse events. So we're selling sticks. We're selling sticks for $1 a piece. And at 5 o'clock, we're gonna go down to the bridge and we're gonna throw the sticks over the side. And the first one that makes it to the other side wins $100. So when you buy your stick, you put your number on it, and then it matches up in the book. So we have those sticks available, and am I leaving anything out? We're going to have food shortly too. So thank you very, very much for being here. It's a lovely turnout. Yes.
What side of the bridge are you going to throw it?
Which way is the river next to
The south wind, the water's going north.
So we're
So
going to
don't
send
throw it on
out.
that side, they're going to end up in
So
Champlain.
can we all stand on your lawn and wait for them to come across?
That would be good, you got a little boat that's there.
Want you to stand up, you Daddy Peach.
There's,
Just look at the lead.
Ed and Beverly Bayshard.
Okay, we'll send them that way.
Ed was a student here, and as was this fellow who just arrived, Ken Lord. Very unique way to honor somebody with a little quilt. It's very unique and appropriate, rather than just a cold plaque sitting on the wall. This is a much warmer type of dedication. I think it's a great idea. I've never seen this before, seen this done before, and I think it's a great idea and a very appropriate idea.
I didn't go to school.
Also helping out here today is Carl Trudeau, who will be having a square dancing demonstration. As we saw in the back room, there's quilting demonstration, quilting going on. Activities here for the youngsters, animals to pet, courtesy of Kevin Triller. And nice little activity here for the folks that decided to come back to Coopersville, and a lot of local people who live right here in Coopersville right now, so in and around Coopersville. This will conclude Hometown Cable's look at this. I've been in St. Albans, this is a Sunday, Friday, and again on Saturday to capture their 150th anniversary of the raid of St. Albans, where the Confederates raided St. Albans and robbed 3 banks and escaped across to Canada. We wanted to capture that important anniversary, the 150th anniversary of all that taking place in St. Albans this weekend, even though the actual events took place in October. They moved it up to make it a September event because they had a big outdoor reenactment of the raid, and they wanted to have that in weather where people could actually enjoy it. And they had a perfect day there yesterday, and the second reenactment of the raid started right around 1 o'clock. They had 2 reenactments, one yesterday as I was there and one today. But that's going to wrap up Hometown Cable's look at this dedication here at the Coopersville Schoolhouse of History. I want to thank you for watching, and for those of you who support Hometown Cable. This TV, we think, is worthy of your support, and we appreciate the people who step up to the plate and allow us to continue to do this after 31 and a half years. Thanks for watching.